Hi, so I'm just gonna draw some faces and talk about how I approach it mentally, what I'm thinking when I'm drawing. I don't really know how else to really explain anything in particular about it, or that isn't just the basics that you already probably know, which is things like drawing a circle and then a line down the middle and gridding out the face. I think that's probably the proper way to do it, but I'm going to show you the way I kind of do it, which is probably very incorrect, but that's just how it is. So when I'm first doing a doodle, I actually do a very exaggerated and spread out kind of anime features. And what I do from there is it kind of just gives more dynamism, and then when I add inks, then I pull it back and make it look more realistic. Maybe that seems crazy, but that's how I do it. But having something down on paper, just like any kind of line, especially an exaggerated one, just gives me a better sense of where to put the actual lines. It's grounding, I guess, rather than just facing blank paper, which I will do if I'm just doodling around. But if like I'm working on a drawing that I have to kind of finish, that's kind of... Oh, you okay? Go outside. Go outside. 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 Come on. Outside. Hey. Go outside, Daddy. Come on, Daddy. Come outside. Come on. Come outside. Off you go. Off you go. I had to stop. My cat just got a hairball. I had to let her out. So you kind of end up with a slightly anime-ish drawing. Sometimes I'll rein it in even more, but just having those crazy expressive anime-ish lines, I guess, helps me just make the faces a bit more, I don't know, expressive or less rigid. Another way I think about face, and I doodle this a lot, is in 3D segments, like quadrants. So I would kind of start it here, the forehead, where the hairline is. So where the hairline goes, then the ear and the jaw, that's basically the face area, the shape. That's slightly more head on. And then you have like the forehead region. And then the eyes area dips in there. It's just areas that stick out and then dip in. So forehead... As soon as I try to do something, has to be all about you. You funny girl. Okay. Then under the snoot, this shadow there, it dips in You have the bridge is in the light. What's wrong with you? What's the matter? The doodad that goes above the lip. And then the mouth. So then this area. And cheekbones. This is just kind of like, so what I think about when I'm drawing is you have like the general head shape, which is partly this sphere, and then about halfway down you have that eye region, and on the top of the eye region is kind of where ear would be. And then you have, now I could say there's the correct place to put all these things, but you know, you could make some pretty unusual looking characters if you just do your own thing. But I would generally make sure the cheekbone is, remember the cheekbone is sticking out here, and then I would remember that across the middle of the face here, you want to make sure the chin is kind of central. This is a mistake I do a lot, where I'll kind of not pay attention to where I'm putting the chin, and it'll end up kind of over at the wrong side, and then I'm like, oh no, bugger. Then have to kind of, so like plan to have the chin down here in the middle of where the features are. Basically have, if you're doing 3/4 angle, I like to have a bit of pout on the mouth so that sticks out that way, and the curve of the snoot. There's under the top eyelid, there's a nice bit of shadow. And then you got your eyebrows going across the top of the eyeline. And this is like the highlight of the cheek. So maybe this is places you can put a bit of highlight on the nose, and then the forehead. This part of the skull sticks out, the brow bone. That's another place you can have highlight. Obviously, well, where the light is coming from affects it, but here under the upper eyelid where there's shadow, and then there's the light poking through from above. And then basically, so let's say you have the sunlight coming this way, and you have your eyelid creating a shadow underneath over here, and then the iris, you have your pupil. So then the light ends up being hello here, and then the shadow is coming down from this direction, and the direction of the light. Sorry, I can't think. My brain's scrambled eggs lately. And then, so the highlight in the iris is the opposite. So that's over here. So you have the light reflecting there, and then the highlight is the opposite end of the iris. Does that make sense? I feel like that's the best way I can describe it. So that's my tip for the eyeball. You may or may not have visible eyelids, or the, what do you call the under thing? Underlid? Cushiony thing? Sometimes I like to do a little stylistic eyebrow that's just really tiny. And then the rest of the eyebrows up to the imagination. And then for doing the schnoz, basically... Hey! Hey! Oh my god, you're not normally like this. So a typical sort of nose shape is like you have this bit here that's the bottom half of the bowl. So you have the bowl of the nose, and you have the nostril bowl, and you have the bridge. This is the bridge, and you have the bowl. Usually the way you put the highlight is just here on the top half of wherever you put the bowl of the nose, right? And then you have the nostril here, which is usually darker here, but people have different shaped nostrils. And then you have the little scoopy thing, I don't know what it's called. And then you have shadow cast here. So sometimes it's, if you have like a little chiseled Hollywood nose, you get like a little bit of shading here and here and here. But like, if you have, what are you doing? Why are you being insane? You can have like more of a hook nose. So then sometimes the nostril is not visible from more above, but you get a bigger shadow, and that shows you the nose is bigger and protruding, and you can have a more masculine look with more angular bridge and stuff like that. Sorry this is wobbling. Okay, you can have like more wide set close to the face noses. So the shadow, if it's more bowl shaped, will be more like a bowl shadow there, like a spherical shadow. And then there's less of a shadow underneath because it's closer to the face. Someplace that I find is good for highlights if you want to give a face more depth is the region here between, what is this line called? Marionette line or something. But you know the line when you smile and it goes like this? So that line, whatever that is. So whether or not that's visible, there's an area there where there's a dip in the face, and this part protrudes out in the cheek, and this part protrudes out. So there's a slight highlight here, and then on the Cupid's bow just here, and then on the roundest part of the chin. And I find that can give like a little bit more realistic depth to a face. And to have depth in the mouth, the top lip is usually darker looking than the bottom lip because it's, if it's hanging over like this, for instance, then it will be shaded from the light more, and then the bottom lip will be facing the light. So that's why you get that. But I like to, and this is a semi-recent thing for me, but it's actually a big makeup trend too, is to add a bit of depth around the sides to like make the mouth more pouty. Yeah. And then if you have like a lip that's kind of got a dent in the middle, then it's more like you can put the highlights there on those two more plump bits, and I think that's kind of cute. Or like on a little more anime-ish lip, you can just do a little subtle highlight there. Not that I'm showing off the best way to use highlights just with a black pen. You get the idea. So yeah, so, and then for shadows, just say this is the same angle as always. So if you want to do like subtle shading to make it look more 3D, I would put shading here on the inner corner of the eye and brow arch area, a little bit under the lower eyelid, so it makes the eyes protrude more. Obviously here under the snoot, the upper lip and lower lip, and then have like the cheekbone area here, and the side of the nose is in shade. And there's usually a bit here to the mouth, side of the mouth, where I don't know the words, but like here. There's like that dimply area where the mouth, side of the mouth ends. It's usually just like a little gap there where there's some light. And on the opposite side, you can get dark. And that can make the face look more 3D too. But if you want to go for like a more chubby, kind of cute face, I put like a little bit of shading around here on both sides to make a face more cute. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else I can focus on, but if you have specific questions, because this is kind of just me randomly stream of consciousness doodling, but if you have like specific struggles or questions that I can elaborate more on, that would be helpful, because I'm kind of just randomly shooting in the dark. But yeah, I hope some of that was helpful. And if you have more you want to see, I'll include it in another video. And thank you for watching.